All right, let's go over our vessels on this head and neck model. We start down here, we can see, where the superior vena cava is, okay? And then here is that brachiocephalic vein, and into the brachiocephalic vein would come blood coming from the upper limbs through this subclavian vein, or from the head through this internal jugular vein. And this right here represents the external jugular vein. So if we follow along the arterial supply, here we have that brachiocephalic artery that's going to branch into the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery. Now this right common carotid artery, we come up here and it's going to branch, and we can follow this branch that kind of comes right back in here, and it's going to go into the head or up into the skull. And so that's going to be the internal carotid artery, whereas this one right here, this branch, you can see where it branches right here. This is the external carotid artery. Coming up along here too, we're going to see our vertebral artery, and then so that's going to run through those transverse foramen on those cervical vertebrae, if you remember the cervical vertebrae that we looked at when we looked at the skeletal system. Okay, then you can also see down here that we have all of our intercostal veins and our intercostal arteries. And then right back here, coming into that superior vena cava, there's that azygos vein, right? So there's all of these would drain into this azygos vein that then brings blood into the superior vena cava to go back to the heart. Now, the other part on this model is looking up here at these dural venous sinuses. So it's a little better to start off looking here at this piece right here from one of our brain models. So this is that falx cerebri. And up here we have our superior sagittal sinus and then our inferior sagittal sinus. And then right here, this is the straight sinus, all right? And you can see that the straight sinus and the inferior sagittal sinus both meet right here. And so in this model, that's that point right here. You would have the inferior sagittal sinus going that direction right there. From this same point, you also have the transverse sinus that goes out right to the side, so transverse, and then it curves, and that's going to be the sigmoid sinus. So we're going to see that sigmoid is always where we have a curvature. And then the sigmoid sinus would then take that blood into the internal jugular vein, all right? And then, of course, here, just in case we're not familiar with these yet, here we have that cerebral arterial circle, or what we know as the circle of Willis, the basilar artery right here, and then these two right here and here would be our vertebral arteries. Okay, and that should be all the ones we need to know for this model.